First up, we have Agnostic Front with Echoes in Eternity. The 13th album from this legendary hardcore, punk, and crossover thrash band continues to show why the style of music still holds up even 41 years after their debut album. The production on this one hits hard and feels like it's exactly what it needs to be for the music to be effective, with the songwriting arguably hitting stronger than ever before. The band has always been known for their musical style and thematic topics that hit society right in the gut. Echoes in Eternity is no different. Even Daryl DMC McDaniels of Run DMC shows up for an unexpected but welcoming guest appearance. It's a short album as well at 14 tracks, and the longest still being 2 minutes and 30 seconds in length, which warrants many respins time and time again. Overall, this is everything I love about punk, hardcore, crossover, all rolled into one by a band that has nothing left to prove, but still feels like they need to. If you've ever dug Agnostic Front, you're going to love Echoes in Eternity. Now we have Bliss of Flesh with Metempsychosis. The fifth album from this French black and death metal band celebrates the 25th year of operation with a band that strikes a chord for everyone who has ever loved this genre. The music is grandiose yet never feels self-indulgent, which is really hard to do in this style sometimes. The lyrical concepts on this one are quite the introspection for any of us, and the production on this one feels like a fine balance between just raw enough but just polished enough to hear every layer that is being played. If you enjoy the likes of Gorgoroth, Svartkrone, Naglfar, and Galahorn's Wrath, check out Bliss of Flesh and what they're all about. This is one of the most sophisticated and devastating black and death metal albums of the year. Next up, we have Caskets with The Only Heaven You'll Know. The third album from this UK band is an emotional trip, and it comes out during an emotional time. It is an album that is about going through hell and coming out the other side better and stronger than ever before. And I can speak for almost anyone reading this that the year that we're currently going through, we are going through hell. And I do hope that all of us come out the other side stronger than ever. The production has that 2020s modern rock and metal sound, which is very slick and polished, and the songwriting has the right sequence of notes, no matter the style that they're trying to hit, that they grab hold of you and they do not let go. I will say the vocal delivery will not be for everyone who checks out my list, and maybe even for some people who check out post-hardcore, but if you don't mind this genre and what they are trying to achieve, you'll dig this just the way that I do. This is an album that feels tailor-made for those struggling this year, and it gives even just the smallest glimmer that we can get through this world that we call 2025. That alone gives this an album worth checking out. The rest of it is just a bonus. If you dig Dayseeker, Awaken I Am, I Prevail, and Villain of the Story, check out Caskets. Next up, we have Cold Steel with Discipline and Punish. The debut album from this Tampa band takes the crossover thrash and hardcore styles and turns them on their head. So much of this album hits what you would expect from these genres, but it also has moments of genre bending that really make this album stand out. I hear moments of nu metal, I hear doom metal, and it goes into so many different ventures on that soundstage. On paper, it feels like maybe it shouldn't work, but if you love aggressive music, they do such a magnificent job of blending all of this together. For those who enjoy Power Trip, DRI, Harm's Way, and Gridiron, Cold Steel is a band that you need to check out, and you'll be so glad that you did. Now we have Deconstructing Sequence with Tenebris, Cosmix, Tempora. I really hope I got that right. The sophomore album from this Polish band instantly grabbed my attention. Their blend of black metal that infuses progressive, death, avant-garde, and so much more takes a genre that is known for its extreme edge and kicks it up an even further notch. The themes about this one is about the destruction of humanity and what comes next, which perfectly matches the music on display, feeling like an unholy and annihilating take on Doheimsgard, Arcturus, and Akakaki. The production is raw, but what comes from this territory doesn't feel unlistenable. It works to perfection. Overall, this feels like a grand and a very depressing look at our society, but that's also truly needed. If you like your black metal on the far reaches on the extreme, you need to check this one out. Next up is a band name and an album title I feel like I'm gonna get wrong, so I deeply apologize if I do. Il Daruni with Divinium Sanguinum. I hope I got that right. The sophomore album from this Armenian band is such a stunning display of how to make atmospheric black metal. The band has learned well from the past and incorporated it into their sound with enough modern influences to make them more than a carbon copy of the sound, to create an album for those who love black metal simply in general. The music truly feels dark and evil in a way that you just don't get from some bands in this style anymore. The production is raw, but not unlistenable. It's done with the nuance to heighten the experience. The songwriting is done on a grand scale, and it feels like it's taking you on a whirlwind of the occult. For any fans of Rotting Christ, Enslaved, Dissection, and Winder, you need this band, and I hope you give them a proper listen. Next up is another band name and album title that I'm going to try my best to get right. Morniati with Musta Ma. The debut album from this Finnish outfit has taken the pagan black metal and symphonic black metal genres with such ease, creating for some of the best of both genres. You can hear the sheer dismay for the Christianity on this one and the anger that comes from it. They have found refuge in paganism. While the music is dead set in the black metal realm, you can hear a sign of relief in the music as well, or maybe it's just really cathartic to hear someone else talk about the hardships that Christianity has brought to the world, especially in 2025. The music is raw, but in an atmospheric way, and everything can be heard with pure clarity. The songs are written with full purpose and feel inspiring to hear time and time again. And when you add the symphonic sound on top of everything else, it only heightens the music's sophistication, and it feels so good to hear. Especially for a debut album, this has such huge potential to change how pagan black metal can sound going forward. If you want a mix of bands like Emperor, Bellingham, and Emperor, make sure to check out Morniati. Go check them out right now. Now we have Omnium Gatherum with May the Bridges We Burn Light the Way. My favorite melodeath band is back and stronger than ever. The band returns for their 10th album and it's quite the statement. The band is taking their grand mix of melodeath, occasional genre bending, and more clean vocal approaches with the catchiest songwriting that they can accomplish and created an album that hits every era of the band so far while still forging towards the future. Also, when you take into account that Speed from Soilwork, Juha from Swallow the Sun, and Jens Borgen, and even Marcus from Omnium Gatherum and Insomnium all have their hands on the production side of this album, you know it's going to make for one of the best sounding albums of the year. Just on that standpoint, this is one of the best sounding albums from the band to date. The songwriting has everything that brought me into the band all those years ago in 2013's Beyond. The melodies and harmonies are always what sucker me into the band, and they never leave my mind. It's also great to have a band that is so laser focused on making more positive sounding songs in a genre that is known for being so depressing. While I can see why people may not dig this one, I've noticed some people simply hate clean vocals in melodeath or even the poppier catchy moments, so they can't be saved. This is on fast track to be one of my favorite albums from the band. Is it at Beyond or the Burning Cold levels for me yet? It's too early to tell, but I can say this is one of the finest melodeath albums of the year. You aren't going to find much better this year when it comes to melodeath or music in general than Omnium Gatherum. Here we have November with Words of Indigo. At long last, we have the first album in 9 years, and the 9th album overall from one of the most underappreciated gothic bands to ever exist. The band has always pushed the boundaries on every album, and Words of Indigo may be their most forward-thinking and envelope-pushing albums from the band to date. The band hits more towards the alternative and gothic elements of the band's sound compared to their death doom that they've been pushing, but don't get me wrong, that death doom sound is still here in full force. But it's nice to see the band pushing their dynamics to the brim and expanding even further. For someone who loves all the genres that they attach themselves to, this hits everything I love about the band, from Latter Day Anathema to Early Day My Dying Bride to November's Doom to the entirety of the career of Green Carnation. The production is top notch, and how could it not be when you have Dance Mono mixing and mastering this album? Sometimes you just want to have an album that can hit so many dark genres that you love, but it's done in such an earnest way. And that's what November continues to do now with Words of Indigo. If you love any genre that I just got done talking about, give this one a proper listen and discover your new obsession. And finally, for brand new albums out today, we have Unwell with Allegoria. The third album from this Detroit band hits that pocket of my musical taste that is always a treat to discover time and time again, in that pop punk and hard rock style. While not reinventing the wheel in any way, they don't need to. They are mixing the hard rock and pop punk genres in a way that feels authentic and earnest. The production is what you would expect from the style, and it's done magnificently. The songwriting is a bit darker and real compared to what you normally get in these genres, and it makes it feel like an emotional roller coaster. The vocal range is much more in the middle, so if you hate the high-pitched falsetto pop-punk vocals, you are safe to listen to this one. I'd recommend this one to anyone who enjoys the mix of A Day to Remember, Dayseeker, The Used, and Grey Wind. This is some absolutely hard-hitting music done in just the right way of mainstream. Give this one a proper spin, as I think anyone who can appreciate hard rock and pop-punk will find something to appreciate about this one. And now for everything that I missed along the way, starting with Action Adventure with Ever After. The third album from the Chicago band does so much of what I love about pop punk, but also makes it way heavier, making for an amazing balance. The production on this one fits like a glove, and the songwriting knows when to be as catchy as possible and when to show off their aggressive side. It feels like as if A Day to Remember never lost its magic. Yeah, you heard me. I also hear bands like Chief State, Belmont, 4 Year Strong, and Census Fail. At 13 tracks and a few seconds shy of 40 minutes, this feels like a perfect length for the album of this style, and something that could easily fit into a main support slot if they do the whole album in its entirety. Pop punk has gotten heavier over the years, but if you've disregarded it in the past, you should give Action Adventure a proper listen. You just may be pleasantly surprised. Now we have Affenamer with Utopie. The fourth album and my first foray into this French band instantly won me over from a random YouTube discovery on Hot Sexy Singles for the Heavy Debriefings podcast, which you should go check out. And I have been floored ever since. I would have covered this last week, but I received the promo mere hours after I finished up last week's videos and write-ups, and there's no way I could have skipped this one. It has everything I love, from the sophisticated and captivating songwriting, to the melodies and harmonies that'll be stuck in your head to days, to the technical proficiency that you just need to hear to be believed. Mix in that perfect balance of melodeath and symphonics, and you have a band that more than deserves your love. Imagine Children of Bodom, Winter Sun, Eternal Tears of Sorrow, and Mors Persimpium Est all roll into one. This style is dangerously underused in 2025, and I'm so happy a band like Affenheimer has returned to showcase why the genre still matters. This simply rules. Now we have Anthology with Frozen Sun. The third album from the Slovakian band has been on my list of albums to cover for quite a while now, but I finally got to it. I wish I'd gotten to it sooner though, as this is a stellar album for the melodic power metal genre. It hits all the moments to make power metal, symphonic metal, and it's all intertwined subgenres working together in perfect harmony. From the powerful vocals, both clean and growled, to the excellent musicianship making the music hit harder and feel so triumphant. The production is the perfect balance, and every layer feels like it's right where it should be. If you enjoyed the recent albums of Glacia, Revengeance, and Stormbreaker, Anthology should be right up your alley. This is a perfect display of the sheer brilliance that melodic power metal still brings. Do not miss out on this one. Next up, we have Darkseal with Arrivals. 5 albums in 13 years from this pagan black metal band out of Czechia, and it's a wondrous release. With a dark and raw atmosphere, the songs on this album have this sinister tone to them that capsulates you while feeling like it's pulling you in for the kill. While feeling grand in scale, it's only 6 songs in almost 36 minutes, making this album feel like a grand adventure that flies by. The songwriting is off the charts, and the musicianship on hand is easily some of the best that I've heard in 2025. If you dig bands like Escapism, Uada, Holder, and Outrest, you are sure to love what Darkseal brings, as this album is completely and utterly stellar. Now we have Empire Drowns with Endless Nights. The sophomore album from this Danish outfit harkens back to the past with its style of melodic death doom, while still expands upon itself in very unexpected ways. You'll hear moments of that classic 90s death doom sound that also passages for sheer dark beauty and a little genre bending that makes the music even more mesmerizing. The production has this vintage feel, and the overall songwriting is tragic but compelling in a way that only this genre can display. If you enjoy Paradise Lost, Early Day Catatonia, but you want to mix it with Serpent God, Rotting Christ, and Arouse the Darkness, Empire Drowns has you covered. This is satisfying melodic death doom in a way that needs to be heard to be appreciated. Next up, we have Harvest with For the Souls We Have Lost. The debut album from this Italian band hits right at home with a deep, dark genre of gothic doom. It's an album that feels raw and primal, but it adds this extra sense of dread and sorrow into its themes and its delivery. The production is raw and human, while the songwriting has the signature charm of the genre that hits you right in the gut, but it leaves you wanting more. It's also considerably short for a gothic doom album at 6 songs and 36.5 minutes long. But if you enjoy the likes of recent albums from Atone, Orphans of Dusk, and Woad, give Harvest your proper attention, as this is the kind of gothic doom metal that deserves to be heard, and that is more than deserved. Now we have Impermanence, with an album title that I hope I get right, Enika. The debut album from this up-and-coming Polish band is a perfect blend of tech death and black metal rolled into one. It never gets too far into the weeds on either side of the equation, with being technical but not over the top, blackened but never raw, and a full-on death metal assault but just at the right dose. The band knows how to make everything meld together into a palatable and enjoyable experience. The production is right where it should be for a style like this, and the songwriting is well crafted and never lingers for too long. Another short slab here with 8 songs and almost 36 minutes of all killer, no filler. If you want a mix of bands like Empathos, Behemoth, and Apogene, Impermanence has delivered one of the best blackened tech death albums of the 2020s. Give it a proper spin and enjoy. Next up, I'm going to completely butcher this, so please apologize. This is Mago de As with Malicia, Le Noche de las Brujas. After discovering this band last year, they have returned with their 17th album, and it is an album that is perfect for the season. A concept album on witches based on the band itself. The band does a stunning display of Celtic folk metal sung in Spanish that leaves you intrigued and singing along. Per usual, the album is filled with so many earworms and catchy moments that won't leave your head for days. The production is filled with so many layers, and as expected, but it gives you a reason to keep going back time and time again and discover something new. While not being able to translate anything for the language, I do love the vocal melodies and harmonies, and it feels so satisfying to listen to. While I know there's some people that are having a hard time with the band as of late due to lineup changes in the recent years, this is an album that is more than worthy of your time, whether you're a new fan or old. If you've ever enjoyed the band, or you just want a different take on Celtic folk metal and you've never checked this band out before, you need to check this one out. While I may have missed out on this one for Halloween, it still more than holds up for the rest of the year. Now we have Primitive Man with Observance. The 4th album from this Denver band is a pure shock to the system, even for a Primitive Man fan. Every time I hear the band, I am always flabbergasted by how much noise they're able to get out of a 3-piece band, but they always find a way to get heavier, angrier, and somehow, on Observance, grander in a scale than ever before. This is somehow also the most uplifting album the band has ever done to date, despite how it might sound, especially if you've never checked out the band before. Shifting from being a band that is all about the darkest subject matter and nihilism, this album is about finding a way to persevere through the darkness, which again, you may not expect, but trust me, it's there. The production is gargantuan, and it helps make every song feel like a colossal behemoth. If you enjoy the likes of Godflesh, Thou, Indian, and Dragged into Sunlight, and somehow have never heard of Primitive Man, you need to rectify that immediately. This is one of the most dense, destructive, cathartic, and oddly uplifting albums of 2025. And finally today we have Van Diemen with Van Diemen 3. The 3rd album from this now full-fledged band hailing from Tasmania is a creative and intriguing slab of blackened death metal. On the first 2 albums it was a one-man band affair, but now hearing the band in a full-fledged lineup, it really makes the band so much stronger. This is a band that can focus on pure chaos, but it refines it with just enough melody and harmony to make everything palatable and presentable for a wider audience. The production is a bit raw, but it fits the mold. The songwriting is sophisticated and filled with a sense of cold, dark dread that needs to be heard to fully grasp. The fact that the band can toe the line between black metal and melodeath in such a way that never leans too far into one direction is a wonderful thing to hear. If you enjoy the likes of Raven's Blood, Galahorn's Wrath, Rotting Demise, and Psychroptic, Van Diemen should be more than satisfying your needs. This is excellent work. First up, we have 1914 with Veribus Unitus. The perfect mixture of Anal Nathrak, Hail of Bullets, and Cannon Fiber returns with their 4th album. The band has been devastating everything in their path for the past decade, and there's an argument that this is not only their heaviest album to date, but it's also their most melodic. I know that sounds like a paradox, but hear me out. Much like Anal Nathrak, they can take the heaviest aspects and add melodies and harmonies in just the right spots to create a sound that sounds like you're in the midst of the Great War, and also look back in hindsight at the same time. The production is pure perfection, and the songwriting is at its best, from the sound clips to the chaos to the guest spots, including one of my favorite vocalists of all time, Aaron Stainthorpe, making a very haunting guest appearance on a track. This just makes the album one of the best albums of this style in 2025. This is how you make a history lesson come to life in a style that couldn't be more accurate. 1914 rules, and if you're unfamiliar, you need to see what this extreme, war-themed metal band is all about. What could possibly top this for this style in 2025? Next up, we have Chairmaker with Leviathan Carcass, and I'm going to keep this one as short as the album. The debut album from this one-man grind band is one of the most intense grind albums I've heard all year. 100% unrelenting, 12 songs, under 15 minutes, it's grind supremacy. I can't sell it any better than that. If you want the best grind album of 2025, there's an argument, it's from Chairmaker. Now we have Mesro with Embrace the Awakening. I have such a hard time believing this is only the third album in 35 years from the Swedish thrash band, but that is the way of the world sometimes. After making a triumphant return in 2023 with their sophomore album Summon Thy Demons, the band has returned with some of the best music of their career, taking the past and the present to make an album that can easily stand the test of time. The production is rich and full, the songwriting reminds you so much of the late 80s thrash metal scene, where bands were not afraid to mess with the tempos and play what they want to play. This has everything from Testament to Metallica to Nefarious to Annihilator in its sound, but it's done in a way to make the band feel familiar, but still truly their own. This is a slab of present nostalgia that reminds you of the past, but you were so happy to hear it in the present day. If you love old school thrash, you're going to love Mesro. Now we have The Reticent with Please. This album broke me. There's no other way to put it. This is an album that feels like a band studied my life, learned from me, my multiple suicide attempts, my mental demons, and put all that pain into a 50-minute album that can be processed for anyone dealing with mental health struggles, or at least shed a light on the very real effects it has on those affected and those who care about those affected. This is an album I didn't think could be created and have such a true authenticity behind it, and above all, the reality that there is no resolution to it. Some can battle and conquer their demons, but it's far from a guarantee. In a world where mental health treatment seems to take less and less serious notions, at least here in the States, it breaks me down every time I listen to it. But I can't imagine a more cathartic album for my personality this year. I could go on and on and on about the subject matter, but this is meant to be a blurb review. Musically, the music has this Cynic meets Haken meets Between the Buried and Me meets Porcupine Tree and Opeth sound that won't be everyone's cup of tea, but it is mine. And sadly, it feels all too relatable to my musical upbringing. And when you match that up to the subject matter, it couldn't hit any harder if I tried. If you are struggling mentally, please reach out to anyone you trust, a doctor, a therapist, or anyone with a sympathetic ear, as no one treatment is for everyone. But you should explore every option possible to see what's right for you. No one should have to suffer the atrocities that mental health struggles bring us. If you're sensitive to the subject matter, this may not be the album for you, but if you need a cathartic listen that truly gets what it's like to suffer, please check out Please by The Reticent. Sometimes it just takes knowing others struggling to know that you are not alone, and there are options out there. Next up is Skull and Crossbones with Time. The sophomore album featuring many former members of the band Stormwitch is doing a fantastic job covering the power of melodic, heavy, and triumphant power metal. From the all guns blazing approach to the mid-tempo stompers, this band covers the gamut of the best elements of the sound, and it simply works. The production is exactly what it should be for this genre, and the songs are never meandering and they leave all of the meat on the bone that you can handle. Sometimes just a tried and true 80s and 90s inspired power metal album is all that you need. If you enjoy the likes of Stormwitch, Freedom Call, Rage, and Night Demon, you will love Skull and Crossbones. Give your, time to this one. Sorry about the pun, but sometimes it just needs to happen. Now we have Stellar Circuits with Phantom Phoenix. I think it's pronounced that way, but I could be wrong. This is the third album from this North Carolina band, and it's quite the adventurous album, especially for a prog band. While it is layered in 90s and 2000s alternative genres, it is also a modern progressive metal album through and through. It goes through so many dynamics, tone changes, genre-bending moments, and left-of-center aspects that should grab any prog fan's attention. The production is deep and rich, and the songwriting just hits in the right kind of both modern and nostalgic moments that feel tailor-made for this style. While you'll hear moments of Carnival, Tool, Chevelle, and A Perfect Circle, you'll also hear heavier moments of the bands like The Contortionist, Vola, and Tesseract, and even more extreme moments of bands like Better Lovers, which I was very taken aback by, but I really love it at this point. This is what progressive metal and alternative metal sound like fused together, and I am all here for it. If you need that kind of sound in 2025, check out what Stellar Circuits is all about. And finally, for brand new albums out today, we have Your Inland Empire with their self-titled debut. The debut album from this French band hits like a ton of bricks, and you may have never seen it coming. Blending the idea of industrial, post-metal, and dark wave to create a sound that can hit Nine Inch Nails, Depeche Mode, Godflesh, and Host. is such a dark delight to the musical senses. The music never gets self-indulgent, yet will go into territories that you just don't see coming, and will make you appreciate when the band can go more left of center, even if it is just for a fill or a short segment. It's dancey, it's catchy, it's hypnotizing, and in this style, that's exactly what you need. While this may not be up everyone's bag, even for people who enjoy the labels such as Season of Mist, this couldn't feel more appropriate for those who enjoy dark music, all because of the sentiments of heavier music are here, just through a different lens. Trust me, no matter your musical taste, there is more than enough here for your time and effort. Seriously, if you enjoy dark music, check this one out. And now for everything that I missed, starting with Astronoid with Star God. Boy, I really wish I would have gotten the promo for this one last week, but that's just the way my deck of cards was played this week. Astronoid has gone on quite the voyage of sound with their 4th album. It's their biggest departure yet, but it also feels like the most true and accurate representation of Astronoid so far. After many positive and negative things hitting the band over the last few years, the band has set a new course in sound, while not straying too far off their own path. If you loved what the band has done before with your unique sound of Mew meets Devin Townsend meets Emperor, that is here, but there's so much more and less to this sound. There are still blast beats used sparingly, there's still the tremolo picking, it is still fast-paced, but the majority of the album is focused on this retro-future kind of sound that feels like a mix of 80s AOR, synthwave, and space rock. The production on this one is beyond stellar, and the songwriting, while a twist from what they've done in the past, is exactly what the band needed to do to progress their sound. I wish I had a better comparison for this particular album, but stick with me here. Think if Magic Dance, Rollo Tomasi, and Mole made a band together and created this album. There's an argument that this is going to be the band's best album. Once the genre shift kind of shocks wear off on people. The sky's the limit for Astronoid going forward, and if Star God is any indication, they're going to be remembered as heroes of the sound from this day onward. Seriously, this is one of the best albums of 2025. Next up, we have Bastion's Wake with Go Tell the Bees. This is not an album for the faint of heart. The sophomore album from the Stellar band is a grand mix of progressive, power, black, epic, folk, and doom metal, all rolled into one grandiose package. The production is just raw enough, and it still feels clean and layered. The songwriting is, of course, the main attraction here, and it hits on so many genres while never feeling like a hodgepodge of sound, and is written with a keen sense of musicality, knowing what to play and what not to play. Everything in this music just works, and everyone in the band shines in one way or another, and still allows for the songs to do the talking. It is way too hard to try to narrow down similar bands, as the sound is just so grand and vast, but a couple bands that come to mind are Glyph, Sacred Outcry, A Sound of Thunder, and Borkdagar. If that sounds intriguing to you in the slightest, you need to give this one a shot. Next up, we have Bianca with their self-titled album. I am flabbergasted by this release. Thanks to a recommendation on this very channel, I had to check this one out, and it's everything that I love about powerful, thought-provoking, and triumphant sounding black metal. There may be a few turnoffs on this one, as there's some really doomy elements, which I know is not for everyone, but it's a huge thing for me. And the bigger potential issue is the clean vocals that are predominant for this style. I, for one, love both so very much, and that neither are an issue for me, but I know it could be for others, so I felt like I needed to point them out. Featuring members of Hideous Divinity, Patristic, and Nuathwa, this is a band I'm assuming is named after the vocalist that strikes hard with its style and makes you stay with its excellent and captivating songwriting. Also, the production is pristine for the style, and it lets you hear it's everything that's going on without fatigue. This is the kind of album I've been waiting for all year without even realizing it, and I just had to discover it for myself. If you can appreciate left of center black metal, you just might enjoy this one as well. Next up, we have Black Cross Hotel with Songs for Switches. The sophomore album from this Chicago collective is something I never would have expected, but I couldn't be happier that this exists. Featuring members of Stabbing Westward, The Atlas Moth, Minxed, and Whipped, Black Cross Hotel mixes gothic metal, post-punk, industrial, and more to create a sound that feels like a combination of every member's other projects, but it all feels different enough. The closest comparison I could think of is the band The Lion's Daughter, and I feel that's quite apt. The production on this one is stellar, and the songwriting feels lean and mean, leaving no fat on the bone. 10 seconds and a second over 41 minutes, this feels like the perfect length for an album like this. It's undeniably catchy, and it sinks its teeth into you, and by the end, you'll be wanting more. If you enjoy any of the members' bands, or if you're big into these genres, you need to see what Black Cross Hotel is all about. Next up, we have Canvas of Silence with As the World Tree Fell. What an intriguing album. The debut album from this Finnish band takes pop, prog, melodic, and symphonic elements to create a sound that is catchier than most progressive and symphonic metal albums that you normally hear, but it is much more sophisticated and full-fledged compared to a lot of pop, melodic rock, and metal albums of recent times. Its lyrical themes are straight from the heart and hit on both the metaphorical and introspective sides. The songwriting is insane, showcasing a display of musicianship that only comes from a deep love of songwriting of these kinds of styles. I hear so many bands throughout this album, from Mirath to Haken to Dream Theater to Illuminashade. This is a stunning display of how to fuse genres into a sound that feels natural and will be stuck in your head for days. Prog albums like this are few and far between in 2025, so if you need something like this, you better give this one a proper spin. Now we have Dead Eyes with Dead Whole Heart. The debut album from this Baltimore band is what I wish more FM rock radio bands were doing. This is the kind of music that can be catchy and have everything that your average radio rock fan wants, but it is done with so much more substance. It's super catchy and written with full intent to be an album of earworm after earworm. But there are these lyrical themes that come straight from the heart and are packaged in a mainstream but just heavy enough package. The production is slick and polished as well, feeling right at home with bands like I Prevail, Prospective, Fit for a King, and Villain of the Story. If you like mid-2020s modern rock and metal, or you just want a good sense of what the genre is all about these days, check out what Dead Eyes has to offer, as I feel like they're about to explode imminently. Now we have Go Dark with Omniscience. The sophomore album from this Portuguese band is a sensational display of melodeath done at a time that we truly need it. While 2025 has been a great year for the genre, hearing a band like this, taking the genre, adding different elements to the mix, and making this an exciting listen from beginning to end is an awesome thing to see. At 9 songs and almost 58 minutes, it's a bit longer than other albums of this genre this year, but there isn't a single wasted second here. The production is human, yet feels bold and polished. The songwriting is the real star of the show here, with elements of bands like Dark Tranquillity, Wolfheart, Horizon Ignited, and Shade of Sorrow. While this is still a smaller band, I don't see that happening for much longer. This is a monumental melodeath album that is more than worthy of your attention. Now we have Oramet with The Sinking Isle, easily one of the best, if not the best, funeral doom album of 2025. The sophomore album from the Sacramento band hits that sweet spot of funeral doom that couldn't feel more appropriate for this time of year. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting colder, darker, sadder, and in a year like 2025, we need an album that hits all those sentiments with authenticity. This duo has created 3 tracks, over 43 minutes long, of some of the best funeral doom not only of this year, but some of the best of the entire genre. The production is perfection, the songwriting is everything that makes funeral doom work, and the chemistry on display is just phenomenal. There's a pure love of the genre on display, and you simply can't fake that, especially with this. If you enjoy the likes of Deha's funeral doom albums, Bell Witch, and Mournful Congregation, this will become a new obsession for you. Again, easily one of the best of the year. Next up, we have Professor Emeritus with A Land Long Gone. Now, is that band name kind of a play off of Papa Emeritus? Potentially. I haven't looked that further into it, but maybe. Now, this is an album that I need to give all my apologies to. This came out back in mid-June, and I've been meaning to cover it for this long, but I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I thankfully remedied that here, as it deserves all the love and attention that it can possibly get. This is a killer display of what epic doom metal can be done with that Candlemass meets Crypt Sermon meets Beholder Direction. I also hear a ton of prog throughout this one as well, giving off this different flair than you would normally hear from the genre. Epic doom metal meets progressive metal, pretty cool. It's a deep album that is layered and well thought out. The production is one of the best I've heard in epic doom metal all year, and the songwriting is so sophisticated and triumphant while still feeling like it will send you straight to your demise. I feel bad for not getting to this one sooner, but I'm glad I got to it before the end of the year. If you love epic doom, you're going to love Professor Emeritus. Next up, we have Saria with Last Burning Sun. The 4th album from this Finnish band is such a welcome and heart-wrenching display of melodeath with some metalcore combined. I can hear bands like Slowfall, In Mourning, In Flames, but I can also hear bands like Killswitch Engage and Unearth in the riffs. That makes me so much more intrigued, and it captures my past and the present in perfect harmony. This is a band that knows how to channel their music, and they're making the music just catchy enough, just heavy enough, and just emotional enough. The production is clean and layered, with the songwriting that will grab you and not let go from beginning to end. I needed an album like this right now, and I'm so happy that I came across it. If you love this combination of melodeath and metalcore, you need to see what Saria is all about. Next, we have Typhus with Fate Weaver. The sophomore album from this Greek band is a triumphant display of classic heavy metal and classic power metal styles. Feeling like both a tribute to the past and a look into the future at the same time is a hard thing to achieve, but they pull it off flawlessly. The production feels vintage, but holds up in 2025, and the songwriting is an awesome display of putting all your best elements into a song and leaving any fat on the bone. If you dig the likes of the recent albums from Aquila, Red Shark, and Stygian Path, you are going to love what Typhus brings to the table. What a killer display of classic heavy metal and classic power metal. Next up is a band name and an album title that I truly hope that I get right. We'll see what happens. Volksflüster with Nachtjanjanji. God, please don't take that as it is, just look at the title. The 8th and 9th album, yes, technically as both are two different releases, but I'll be talking about them together for convenience. From this long-running German outfit is one of the hardest hitting albums of the genre this year. This is quite the unique user experience as well, as the first part of this double release is the traditional Volksflüster that I know of, with their atmospheric, folky, post-black, and more elements tugging at the heartstrings and never letting go. While the production is raw, the emotion comes from the music is grandiose and flowing. Part 2 takes everything off of this album and reworks it into a different style. Some are more post-rock, some are more acoustic, and some more that I won't spoil here, but it will be a left-of-center turn for you. So you get the best of both worlds here. If you like the traditional sound of the band, that's here. If you want to see the band experiment, that is also here. Seeing how much the band has grown over the years and become this entity that they are today is an incredible thing to see, and it only gets better as time rolls on. This is easily one of the best, if not the best release from Volksflüster, and if you dig anything from Panopticon, which of course Austin shows up on this album, Wooden's Throne, or Winterfelleth, you need to see what Volksflüster is all about. And finally today we have 0 Degree with What We Become. The third album from this German melodeath band is just the picture-perfect look at how melodic melodeath truly can be. This leads on this album are almost hypnotizing in their display, and the overall songwriting package is everything that you love about 90s through 2000s melodeath, but done with more melody and harmony. The production is a little raw, but nothing distracting, and at 9 songs and almost 40.5 minutes, this feels like the perfect length to showcase what the band is all about without anything feeling like it's overspent. If you enjoy the likes of Go Dark, Construct, Silence Lies Fear, and of course In Flames, 0 Degrees may become your new obsession. This is quality made melodeath that works in 1995, 2005, and 2025. First up, we have Bloodbound with Field of Swords. The 11th album in 20 years from this Swedish band sees the band coming back strong with a concept album about Vikings in the Middle Ages, and they are continuing to deliver the goods and make some of the best material to date. Everything you love about the band is on this one, from the blazing fast power metal songs, the mid-tempo stompers, the left-of-center heavy metal anthems that make this band stand out amongst the rest. The production is right where it needs to be and feels so good to listen to, and the songwriting never wears out its welcome, with only one song going over the 4.5 minute mark. It comes in, pillages like a true Viking, and leaves you wanting more. If you've never checked out Bloodbound before, but you enjoy the likes of Ordenogan, Dynasty, Powerwolf, and Serenity, you will love what Bloodbound has to offer. What a stellar power metal and heavy metal album. Next up, we have Danko Jones with Leo Rising. I'll keep this one short and sweet, just like the album. The 12th album from this long-running Canadian band is just pure fun hard rock. Whether it gets a little bit heavier, really simple, or just straight ahead rock and roll, the band knows what they're doing at this point. There's no reason for the band to reinvent the wheel at this point, as they know what they're doing and their formula works every time. The production is perfect for this album, the songwriting is lean, mean, and exactly what it needs to be. If you enjoy the likes of the Helicopters, Thunder Mother, Volbeat, and Hardcore Superstar, you're going to love Danko Jones. Now we have Dark Tribe with Forgotten Reveries. The 4th album from this French progressive power metal band is an incredible display of the genre. It is so catchy, but the band knows how to show off their chops at just the right moments. The lyrical content is deep for anyone who studies this kind of thing that we call life. The songwriting is what makes everything work, feeling like a grandiose mix of Symphony X, Vianity, Stradivarius, The Ferrymen. Dark Tribe has this essence of progressive power metal that has always made the genre simply work. The genre hasn't been that that impactful in 2025, sadly, but when it does show up, they give it all they got, and Dark Tribe is absolutely doing that with one of the finest examples in 2025. This is essential prog power listening. Now we got Frozen Land with Ice Melter. The third album from this Finnish power metal band captures that pure nostalgia of the classic late 90s, early 2000s power metal sound, but updated enough for 2025. It combines all the right elements of the past, the razor-sharp guitars, the soaring vocals, the blazing fast double bass assaults, but it still knows how to write catchy songs. The production is tight and allows for every single layer of the music to be heard with ease. At 8 songs at almost 36.5 minutes, this thing flies by, but you'll still want more. If you love the legends like Stradivarius, Masterplan, and Halloween, you will love what Frozen Land has in all of their power metal glory. Next up is In Virtue with Age of Legends. The third album from this LA outfit is an intriguing mix of music, combining the strongest elements of melodeath, modern metal, hard rock, progressive power metal, and so much more. Age of Legends feels almost like a best of genres all rolled into brand new music. The fact that I can hear Soilwork, Opeth, Symphony X, Amaranth, and Porcupine Tree all rolled into just one track, with another feeling like a tribute to 2010's hard rock radio, while showing more of the shred and genre bending. While this won't be for everyone because of how diverse it is, this is for those who enjoy a grand variety of heavy music, spearheaded by the co-founder of Gear Gods, Trey Xavier. This is a varied but consistent album that shows off what is possible if you're not afraid to show off all the different styles of music you enjoy to play. If that's for you, then you need In Virtue. Now we have Karu with Perdition. The sophomore album and second album in 2 years from this Finnish melodeath band is my first foray into the band, and I am loving what I'm hearing. Featuring past and present members of Celesti, Alliance, and Crystalic, this is a sophisticated and grandiose example of what melodeath can be in 2025. With a 7-song track list, 4 of the songs are over the 7-minute mark, with the longest being over 12, and 3 instrumental interludes, which I know is kind of make or break for some people. The album is conceptually set in feudal Japan as well, and it gives off that atmosphere full force. The production feels human, but it is so dense and rich in the process. If you want a wild mix of Mors Persimpium Est, Whispered, Winter Sun, and the heaviest side of Brimir, check out Karu and all they have to offer. Now we have Terror Corpse with Ash Eclipses Flesh. The debut album from this Houston, Texas trio featuring members of Necrofire is a slab of death metal, grindcore, and the occasional doom elements that don't know how to leave a pulverizing mark. 10 tracks, 36.5 minutes, hits everything that you love about bands like Malignant Altar, Morbid Angel, Incantation, and Celtic Frost all rolled into one. The production is raw and primal, reminding you of 1989 death metal, and the songs explore so much of the genres that they cover, all while sounding proficient and extreme. If you love that aggressive side, the experimental side, and of course that pits-inducing death metal, check out Terror Corpse and prepare to be destroyed in the process. And finally, for brand new albums out today, we have Treat with The Wild Card. The 10th album from this long-running Swedish band is just that satisfying mix of melodic hard rock and AOR that just sounds so good, no matter if it's 1985 or 2025. The production is simply stellar, and the songwriting is one earworm after another in terms of quality. Everyone in the band is in top form, and you can tell that they're giving it their all. Treat is living proof that after 40 years, that doesn't mean that the quality of music has to go down. You can still write some of your best music 4 decades after your debut. Bands like Treat, Giant, Honeymoon Suite, and others have shown this year that this style, while many of their contemporaries are resting on their laurels, they don't have to. I'm so thankful for bands like Treat and how they continue to deliver the goods. This is how you make AOR melodic hard rock shine. Please check out The Wild Card. And now for everything that I missed, starting with our guest with Moonlight Pyromancy. The sophomore album from this UK band hits that sweet spot of mellow black that I wish more bands were doing in 2025. It knows how to feel dark and evil while having these haunting melodies and harmonies that can lure you in right before you fall under their spell. The musicianship on this one is fantastic, and you can tell they truly care about the music they are crafting and making sure it's the best it possibly can be. The production is that right blend of clean but just raw and human enough to feel authentic. At 8 songs and a little over 45 minutes, this is a perfect display of what a band can do, but still leave you wanting to hear what will come next. If you enjoy bands like Dissection, Thalkundra, Emperor, and Early Day Cradle of Filth, you need to see what this band is all about. Mellow Black has not had that many albums in 2025, so you have to celebrate the good ones, and this is more than apt. Next up is Asira with As Ink in Water. In a mashup of genres I've wanted to hear for a long time, the sophomore album from this UK band mixes post-black and progressive metal in a combination that feels tailor-made for me. This is a wonderfully made combination of sounds that balances out the heavy aspects, the proggy aspects, and other elements of genre bending to create a unique album that hits as hard in the lyrical content as it does the musical approach. The production is wonderful and you can hear every layer with ease. The songwriting does get into epic territory, with shortened non-interludes being about 5.5 minutes and 2 epics over 11 minutes long. This contains so much of what I love about bands like Opeth, Niavlascaris, and Abstract Illusion, Visitant, and Heritoire, all rolled into one big package. If you fit into that niche of wanting to hear post-blackened progressive metal, check out Asira and be prepared to be blown away. You don't come across a band like this every day. Now we have Blood Sky with 2025, or MMXXV if you want to be pedantic. Ever since discovering Michael Mills' band Toehider, I've wanted him to make a full-on progressive power metal band, as he simply has the voice for it. In 2025, it's finally happened in the form of Blood Sky, an Australian duo with the other half being Richard Mosley of Taliesin, putting together all of the music and instrumentation. Together they have made a prog power album that hits everything that I love about bands like Symphony X, Halloween, and Stradivarius, plus so many more, to create something that feels authentic and a hard-hitting album in this style. It is sheer brilliance in every sense of the word. The production feels like that late 90s power metal sound, making it feel human and alive, and the songwriting is undeniably catchy and filled with so many ear-catching moments, and plus again, those vocals. This is everything that I hope for, and it only gets better with every single listen. I wish more bands in this genre would put this much effort into their music. Easily one of, if not the best, progressive power metal album of the 2020s. Now we have Bloom with The Light Week Chase. The sophomore album from the Sydney, Australia band conquers the ever-growing list of bands in the melodic hardcore, metalcore, and post-hardcore genres. They mix the brutality that comes from hardcore, the melodies and harmonies that stick with you, and it's also done in such an earnest way that I can't get enough of. It brings so much of what I love about the second wave metalcore of the mid-2000s, the later stages of the genre in the late 2000s and early 2010s, and enough of a modern take to appeal to the 21st century crowd in 2025. The production is so slick and polished but feels authentic at the same time, and the songwriting will be stuck in your head for days. If you enjoy the likes of Downswing, Greyhaven, Adept, and Bad Omens, Bloom will have something for you. It's been a good year for this style, and we're ending it on a strong note with a band like Bloom reeling everything in. It's a great thing to see. Next up is Elarive with Umbra. The third album since 2023 for this doomy black and post-metal band is quite the album in a genre to help close out 2025. It hits this fine line between all these genres to create a style that is so filled with dread, sorrow, and cathartic overtones that can equally pull at your heartstrings and punch you right in the guts at the same time. If the emotions weren't already swinging on this one, JJ from Harakiri for the Sky makes a guest appearance here, and it simply hurts in the best of ways. This is for anyone who enjoys doom metal, post-black, and more of the side of things and want it drenched in emotion. This very well could be in my top albums of the year if it keeps going this way. With every passing listen to it, it inches closer and closer. If you want a mix of Oceans of Slumber, Remina, Bianca, and Her Myth, you need to check out Elarive. It simply is a darkly magical album. Up now is a band name that I hope I get right, Aesthesis with Out of Step. Despite how it looks, this is actually the last album that I heard in 2025, in contention for Out Today and What I Missed. When one of the albums that I got pushed back to December 19th, I happened opening slots, and this French band graciously sent me their third album, and I am enjoying what I'm hearing. It's a wonderful mix of progressive post-rock, alternative rock, and flourishes of cinematic moments and even trip-hop. Compared to a lot of albums that I covered, I mean, just look at this week's collection alone, this is quite the subdued affair, but there are moments that get quite heavy for the style, and their use of dynamics makes the album flow together, and it's worth enjoying. The production is natural and lets everyone shine. If you enjoy the likes of Porcupine Tree, Long Distance Calling, and even Massive Attack, you know, the band that did the theme for House, Aesthesis should be a band that you look out for, as they put out one of the best progressive post-rock albums of 2025. Now we have Headmark with their self-titled debut. The self-titled debut from this one-man Norwegian band is an excellent display of how cold and dark post-black can be, but still sounding optimistic. The production is a bit raw, but I think it works in the favor of the music, giving it this intense atmosphere that is hard to describe until you hear it. The vocals may or may not be a turn-off, as the typical post-black vocals are not here, in favor of more clean and aggressive vocals, but not your typical black metal vocal approaches. If anything, this is closer to post-metal side of things, with just enough of a blackened edge to it all. At 10 songs and almost 37 minutes, this is quite the journey of sound that hits so many elements but leaves you completely satisfied. If you enjoy the likes of Alcest, Agalog, and Death Heaven, you will enjoy what Headmark brings to the table. It's only going to get bigger and better from here. Now we have Imperialist with Prime. The third album from this California band is an excellent display of the aggressive and cosmic wonder that is black metal and what it can bring. The production is so slick and polished compared to other bands of the genre, and it doesn't have that raw atmospheric approach that it normally does. Every note feels absolutely devastating, and it's matched in tone with the lyrical themes of the horrors of space. 9 songs and almost 45 minutes of some of the best cosmic black metal that I've ever heard. For those who enjoy the likes of Necrophobic, Thulkandra, Nightbearer, and Brothog, you need Imperialist. Check them out immediately for all of your cosmic black metal needs. Now we have People Slicer with Fleshwork. The third album from this British band is easily the band's best album to date. They have laid waste to their previous work and made one of the best mathcore, post-hardcore, grind, and more genre albums of the year. The album can get so intense and brutal while having these elements of melody, harmony, and emotion that will blindside you if you're not paying attention. The band has refined their sound, and they are still adding new elements with every single album. Fleshwork feels like the most comprehensive and overall best album from beginning to end. The production hits so hard and pummels you, and the songwriting will hit you with so many left and right turns, I'd be amazed if you don't fall to the ground at the end. If you dig the Callous Cowboys, Rolla Tomasi, Godflesh, and Converge, Pupil Slicer is the new torchbearer for the sound. This is stunning work. Next up is Solence with Angels Calling. I can already sense how polarizing this album will be for those who come from my Funeral Doom, prog, and post-black reviews. The fifth album from the Swedish band takes a more fun approach to modern rock and metal and makes it as catchy and full of earworms as possible. This is a true modern pop metal album in every sense of the phrase. It's so memorable and filled with hooks, melodies, harmonies that will not leave your head no matter how hard you try. The fact they are not the biggest band in the US rock radio right now is absolutely astounding to me, but I think it could happen in time. The production is as slick and as polished as any modern pop album. The songwriting hits so many genres without ever feeling out of place, but if you enjoy the likes of Electric Callboy, Siamese, Ice Nine Kills, and Fame on Fire, Solence may be your new obsession. Just give this one a proper listen. Now we have Stargazer with Stone Cold Creature. The fourth album from this Norwegian band captures everything I love about that mid-70s through the 90s melodic metal and melodic rock, and it just sounds so good to listen to. Every song is sure to get your fist in the air and chanting for more. Nothing ever stays its welcome, as it is 14 songs, but it's only 44 minutes long, leaving all the meat on the bone and no fat left whatsoever. This is competent and striking music, and some of the best in this style in 2025. For those who enjoy the likes of TNT, Roulette, and Ronnie Romero, Stargazer is required listening. It's everything about a tribute to the past, but updated just enough for 2025. And finally today we have Sun City with Forever. The debut album from this Danish band instantly blew me away, so much that I had to make room for this one as soon as I heard it without even thinking twice. I even would have put this one on last week's list had I not already recorded last week, but hey, that's how it works. It's just that soothing, emotional, and satisfying mix of melodic rock, AOR, synthwave, and more that helps you relax in a world where relaxing is one of the hardest things to do. At 10 songs and almost 37.5 minutes of music, it just weaves into each other and you just don't want it to end, and it calls for instant replays. I can kick back to this one, and as much as I enjoyed the latest album from the Midnight, all of my pain and sorrow just washes away for a short amount of time as I listen to this one. This is music to chill out to and just try to enjoy life for what it is. And if you need that as badly as I do, check out Sun City and all the music has to offer. Trust me, this might be the break that you need from our current reality. First up, we have Equilibrium with Equinox. The 7th album from this long-running German band seems to have been a change in sound for the band. While still having that epic folk metal sound, the band is experimenting more with melodeath, metalcore, and modern metal sounds more than ever before, creating a very different album for the band, but the band has also fit that perfectly in their catalog. The elements of the past are still here, but with just through a 2025 lens. The production is fantastic, and it's layered in a way that is so pleasing to the ears. And songwriting still has that passion of the band that they've ever had since the beginning. If anything, a new fire's been lit under the band, and that 6-year break in between albums and lineup changes may have just saved the band. I can see this being the reroute to remain for Equilibrium. They may lose some, but they're going to gain so much more. For anyone who enjoys Encephalum, Fintroll, and Brimir meets Amaranth, Dynasty, and All for Metal, well, it took me a while to get adjusted to this one, but once I did fall in love. Give this one a proper listen and see what Equilibrium does for you in 2025. Now we have Moron Police with Pachinko. I'm not going to say where this lands, but it is one of my favorite albums of 2025. Moron Police is one of the most underappreciated bands to ever grace my ears, and I want to shout out their name from the rooftops. This Norwegian band's 4th album is a wild, wacky look at a concept album I won't go into full detail here, but within all 14 tracks, no 2 songs sound alike, and you will hear moments from their previous album stylistically, as it can get heavy, it gets technical, it gets proggy, it gets wacky, it can get emotional and heart-gripping, and of course again, it can get just plain silly. I wouldn't want it any other way. I knew a little bit about this album when I did an interview with Sandre back in 2019 for their previous album, A Boat on the Sea, which was my favorite album of 2019. This is my kind of prog these days, where the rules are thrown out the window in favor of making the music you want to make, mixing prog, rock, pop, metal, and so much more rolled into one. Given the tragic events of the band, the album was finished up by drummer Billy Reimer of the Dillinger Escape Plan of all bands, and it's an incredible thing to hear. This is easily one of the best albums of the year once again, and in a year with some of my favorite bands putting out their best work, that is not an easy thing to say. This is a triumph of an album in a world of negativity that seems never ending. We need an album that's just fun and positive, that'll make you smile and laugh at the absurdity. That's Moron Police in a nutshell. This is an album I needed at the end of the year, and if you're like me, I hope you'll need an album like this as well. Now we have Spock's Beard with the Archaeometist. The 14th album from this long-running prog rock band seems to have lit a new fire under the band, and I am all here for it. Whether the band continues to explore what prog can be in 2025, the genre bending the band has always been known for, or just going on a full force of whimsical, wacky, wanky, and all the other tropes that you expect from this band at this point. The band is proving that there is no time or room to rest on their laurels. This album feels like Prog 101 and showcasing what prog has been for the past 60 plus years. You can hear nods to everyone from Gentle Giant to Toto to Genesis to Yes, all while giving nods to their former self in songs and motifs. Least we forget that 20-minute monster epic that hits so hard and is sure to become one of the best known epics of their catalog. A lot of the new fire in the band feels like it comes from the new drummer Nick Potters, who knows when to go subtle and when to go bonkers on the drums. Seriously, Spock's Beard is back in a big way, and I'm so happy to see it. Prog rock is alive and well in 2025. It just took till the end of the year for Spock's Beard to prove how it's done. Now we have Struck a Nerve with their self-titled debut. The debut album from this up-and-coming UK band is what thrash metal and crossover thrash genre is all about. Featuring past and present members of the band Shrapnel, this hits everything about the fun atmosphere, the heavy approach, and the pin-inducing riffs that all of that comes with. There's not a lot of time to breathe on this one, as it's 9 songs and comes in a little over 32.5 minutes, which flies by, but when it's done, you'll instantly want to start it over. It combines the past bands of Suicidal Tendencies and DRI, a heavy dose of Power Trip, and it feels right at home with bands like Anger Machine, Paralysis, and of course, early day Shrapnel. Overall, you want a textbook definition of the sound, Struck a Nerve rewrote it with their self-titled album. This is everything that you could possibly want in this style, and more. And finally, for brand new albums out today, is Thermality with Concept 42, the third album in 3 years from the Swedish band, and after discovering them last year with their sophomore album, The Final Hours, Thermality is making a huge name for themselves, and Concept 42 proves it. This is easily the most hard-hitting and grand album they've done to date. The band captures their tributes to the 90s Swedish melodeath sound and their love of 2000s metalcore with just enough modern influences to make the band that is for everyone who loves Killswitch Engage, Among Ruins, and especially especially In Flames. The production is easily their best, and of course that will happen when you have Frederick Nordstrom behind the boards. This is everything you love and miss about the golden days of melodeath and metalcore rolled into one perfect package. Their melody is the future of the genre, and all you need to do is hear Concept 42 to understand why. And now for everything that I missed, starting with Aurora Ortiz with Against Ourselves. The sophomore album from this Brazilian duo is that mix of post-black and doom that we all need in our lives right now. It's disenchanted, heartbroken, downtrodden, and as you'd imagine this combination to be, it's done with excellent efficiency. It never gets too slow, so those who hate doom don't need to worry, and it never gets over the top and evil and dark like black metal can get. It's that fine line between it all, and it works miraculously. The production, while still a bit raw, is a huge improvement over their debut, and they're only going to get bigger and better from here on out. The songwriting is quite the journey to explore with all of the genres that they have to offer, plus a hard-hitting genre bending for good measure. If you love Agalloch, you're gonna love this, but if you also enjoy bands like Clarent Ash, Outrest, and Ruins of Barast, you will love what Aurora Ortiz has to offer. Now we have Broken Fate with Horizon. This is an album I've been waiting to cover since June, and I hate that it took this long, but I wanted to get it in before I was done with the end of the year. The fourth album in 10 years from the Swiss band creates a blend of melodeath and thrash that satisfies so many musical senses in a way that brings you back to the golden age of this sound. Just heavy enough for the melodeath side, just peppy enough for the thrash fans, and blending both in a musical way that doesn't feel try-hard or forced. The production is a little more raw than one would normally expect, but they make it work to their advantage. The songwriting never feels too long, even though it is 12 songs in 54.5 minutes. It still feels natural. This feels like that mix of middle-era Suspiria, Testament, and In Flames to create a heavy and creative riffs and melodies. If this sounds like your bag, it will be. Give this one a proper listen. Next up, I deeply apologize if I get this wrong, Cristiano Filippi's Flames of Heaven with Symphony of the Universe. The sophomore album from this Italian symphonic power metal band is bringing in the end of the year with the symphonic power metal that we all deserved in 2025. The genre has been quite low overall in terms of albums, but the quality has been great, and this is no exception. Having an album of this quality to end the year with feel-good anthems that we need in 2025. While the lyrical content can get quite dark and sad, the music just feels so genuinely nice to hear with that classic symphonic and power metal sound that we all know and love. While not reinventing the wheel at all, that's not what I'm going into this for. I want the best made music of this genre possible, and that's what's done here. The production is clear and polished, and the songwriting can feel a bit long at 13 tracks and an hour and 9 minutes, but if you enjoy this style, they make the most of every second recorded. If you enjoy the likes of Fellowship, Glyph, Twins Crew, and the Seventh Guild, this is an album you need in your life. Give it a spin right now. Now we have Denying God with Falling in the Pale Mist. The debut album from the Slovakian band is a pure, brutal assault, while having haunting melodies and harmonies that'll be stuck in your head for days. This is my kind of deathcore. As I keep saying, deathcore works best as a foundation, not the main ingredient. This is a perfect example of that. Mixing the symphonic black metal on top of deathcore bass is the perfect mixture for this sound. The production, while sounding clear, does need to be turned down a little bit, as this one comes in quite hot and it does peak, but if you turn it down just a tad, it all balances out. The songwriting is darkly majestic and it hits so very hard. This is easily for those who enjoy the likes of Lorna Shore, Shadow of Intent, and Of Sulfur. Honestly, this may be one of my favorites of the whole year for symphonic black and deathcore. Just check it out for yourself. Next up, we have The Fallen Prodigy with Fragments. The sophomore album from this New York band is such a welcome throwback to 2000s metalcore while forging their own path with other influences to spice up the sound. I can hear elements of my teenage years here with Killswitch Engage, Trivium, and On Earth, but I also hear more progressive metal elements and more straight-up metal elements and other genre-bending moments that makes the music stand out and feel appropriate in 2025. The production is crystal clear and hits hard, while the songwriting is filled with depth on both the lyrical and musical sides of the equation. While this won't be for everyone who checks out my list, this is for those of my age range who grew up on second wave metalcore and wants to hear what the 2020s version of that influence has produced. This is killer stuff. Now we have Frost with Age of Fading and Doom. The 7th album in 23 years from this Hungarian band hits a level of black metal that not many can achieve. It hits all the tropes that you'd expect from the genre, but there's this extra aura to it all that showcases a round-the-world lecture of what black metal can and should be at this time. No two songs sound alike, and the production finds a way to capture it all with a punishing yet human tone. It's dark, evil, mystical, and a grand look at the genre as a whole. If you enjoy the likes of the latest albums from Bliss of Flesh, Darkseal, and Tarfod, Frost is a band that'll be right up your alley. Go check them out. Now we have Malachim with And in Our Hearts, the Devil Sings. Easily one of the best satanic black metal bands that I've ever come across. The sophomore album featuring past and present members of Naglfar, Death Pulsation, and Twilight has created a loving tribute to not only the Dark Lord, but the second and third wave black metal, with the best touch of it all, actually good production. While it is still kinda raw, it's a pulverizing display of the genre that almost has a 90s Swedish death metal feel overall in its tone, but it's pure black metal in its black heart. Some riffs on this album are some of the best in the genre, and they will grab you without warning. This album could easily win over the most diehard and tryhard of evil music fans. For those who enjoy Tarfod, Watain, Naglfar, and Bliss of Flesh, you'll love Malachim. This is evil done right. Now we have Nefarious with Cosmic Crypt. The debut album from this Polish outfit is a stunning display of mixing up a heaping set of mellow black with just the right hints of mellow death and other herbs and spices to create an album that feels dark, evil, and sophisticated. As great as the music is on its own, it's heightened by its use of orchestration, making everything feel more triumphant and unique for the style. The production is a bit raw, but for a debut album, it still sounds great, and I imagine that'll only improve in time. The songwriting is what makes you stay for this one, as it suckers you in and holds you in for all 10 songs in 58 minutes. This is easily for those who enjoy the likes of Raven's Blood, Godiva, Embrace the Darkness, and Medusian. This is a stellar piece of symphonic blackened melodeath. Listen and hear for yourself. Next up is Sad Serenity with Tiny Miracles. Another album I waited too long to cover, but I'm finally getting to it by the end of the year. The sophomore album from this international band is sheer brilliance in the prog metal and rock worlds. It knows when to kick into the heavier side of things just as often as it knows how to showcase the beautiful melodies and harmonies that come from the rock side, all done with finesse and prosperity that other bands of the genre just can't capture. It hits all the tropes that you want, from the stunning musicianship to epic song lengths to jaw-dropping solos to the astonishing songwriting. While this does get wanky at times, it can be a great thing when done right. The production hits so hard and is exactly what is called for in this style of prog. If you enjoy bands like Joviak, Massetti, Haken, and Dream Theater, Sad Serenity is one of the best prog albums of the year, and in a world where we need some truly great prog music, give it a proper spin and enjoy. Next up, we have Shivered with Chains. I discovered this one-man Iranian band last year with 2024's Existential Mourning, and we already have a new album with this third album, Chains. This album is a bit of a change in sound with more cleans, more dynamics, but just as dark, doomy, and depressing, if not more so. The production has stepped up to a new level, and the songwriting, along with that, is the best that the project has done so far. The concept of this album is very dark, and I really can't get into it on social media without a warning popping up, making sure that I'm okay, but if you go to Shiver's Bandcamp, it's described there. It's a fantastic display of gothic doom for those who enjoy the likes of Early Day Catatonia, Arouse the Darkness, Dinumbra, and Tiamat. It is not an album for the faint of heart, but it's also one of the best in the genre in 2025. Next up is Solstice Rider with Death and Rebirth. After being reminded that this album came out, I had to go check it out. I can't catch them all, unlike that popular Chinese card game, but I did catch this one before I got done at the end of the year, and I'm glad that I did. The sophomore album from this Maryland band combines the best of melodeath, power metal, folk, and doom, and so much more to create a cohesive blend of music that is just fun to listen to. While no two songs sound alike, they flow together naturally and fit the mold of what the band is trying to achieve. The production is a little raw, but nothing that is distracting. This songwriting is a sheer delight from beginning to end. This is for those who enjoy the likes of Winter Sun, Godark, Nefarious, and Insomnium. What a great display of genre bending while still leaving more mysteries for the future. Up next is either starter or starer. Both are entirely possible, with ancient monuments and modern sadness. With an album as grand, worldly, and adventurous as this, I was not expecting this to come out of Kentucky of all places. But the fourth album from this one-man band is one of the best one-man band albums I've heard all year. It hits everything that I love about symphonic black metal, post-black, atmospheric black metal, and so much more, all while making it feel so grandiose. The production is otherworldly in its tones and the scale, and the songwriting is easily one of the best of the genre that you're going to find in the 2020s. If you enjoy the likes of Malachim, Argest, Tarfod, and Blackbraid, you need this band, and you better check it out right now. Just let the music do the talking for you. Now we have Stonebirds with Perpetual Wasteland. The fifth album from this French trio is quite the trip. It hits so much of what I love about the alternative side of post-metal, sludge metal, doom metal, and more, and puts its own spin to it all. You can tell after 5 albums and 14 years together with this lineup that the chemistry in the band is brewing quality work. The production is perfect for the style, and that songwriting is endless in its variety, but still cohesive to their core sound. Imagine a mix of latter-day Catatonia, Junius, and Abraham, and you have Stonebirds, a band that should be on your radar if you dig the sound. This is how you make genres your own. And finally, my last album that I missed this year is Vertist with Citizens of the Universe. The debut album from this entity where I really don't know who's involved or where they're from, although France is what I see come up most often, is carrying over what, how else can you really put this? Sleep Token have made their own. But the key difference between comparisons to bands like Sleep Token, President, and other bands who've taken the sound of modern metal and fused it with various types of other genres is that this is more on the metal side of things, with the occasional left of center turn. If they want to go poppy, they will. If they want to incorporate new metal, that'll be there. But the heavy side never truly leaves, and that's what captures my interest. While I can definitely say the vocal stylings will not be for everyone, they do make music unique and stand out in a crowd of a lot of bands trying to capture this style. This is easily some of the best music made in this style, and if you want a more underground take to it all, you should give this entity a proper listen. You may not get it on the first try, but if there's enough to capture your interest, keep listening. It just may wash over you. And now for a rare segment on Out Today and What I Missed, albums that are coming out during my break. These next 2 albums are ones that are coming out December 19th, but I'll be on break, and I wanted to capture these ones and make sure that you know about them, starting off with Numerous, with What Remains When Hope Has Failed. The debut album from this UK band featuring past and present members of Wooden's Throne, Ahamkara, Live Burial, and Neolithic is a stunning and depressing look at the world today. While the production is as raw as atmospheric black metal gets, it's the songwriting that captivates you and leaves you wanting more. It gets quite rich and grand the longer that you listen to it, and it feels like the soundtrack to our post-apocalyptic demise. Every main song on here is also grand in scale, with the shortest song being over 6 minutes and the longest being over 10. Again, the production will not be for everyone, but if you can get past that and you enjoy the likes of Wooden's Throne, Falls of Raros, and A Fall of Stars, you will love what Numerous has to offer in all their glory. What a magnificent display of atmospheric black metal. And finally, the last album I'll be covering in 2025 is Weft with The Splinter Door. Live guest and studio violinist for Panopticon Charlie Anderson has put out one of the best atmospheric black metal albums of the year. This is another album where if you want the cleanest, slickest production possible, this will not be for you. For everyone else, this is a raw, intense, and emotionally shattering display of what can be done with atmospheric black metal. There are obvious hints to Panopticon. I mean, how could there not be? I mean, even Austin Lund does the drums on this one. But there is so much more to explore in this style. There are phenomenal moments of folk, classical, American, Americana, death metal, and so much more, and shows what the band has to offer. In short, this feels like the Panopticon album that a lot of people who wanted the North American folk metal side of Panopticon to come out in 2025 wanted. This feels like the excitement of the genre done with even more exploration and determination. As long as you can appreciate atmospheric black metal, this is one of the finest examples of the genre in the year, bar none. Just give it a listen and prepare to drift away.